The day his boss finally broke him was not loud or dramatic, but slow and suffocating, like water rising inch by inch in a locked room. Daniel Harper sat at his desk long after everyone else had gone home, staring at a glowing screen that blurred through tired eyes, knowing he would still need to wake before dawn to pack lunches, braid his daughter's hair, and pretend everything was under control. What he did not know was that this same day, the one that nearly crushed him, was quietly setting the stage for a moment that would change his life forever. If you believe in kindness, unexpected grace, and second chances that arrive when we least deserve them, take a moment now to like this video, share it, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this only travel far when people choose to pass them on. Daniel Harper was 36 years old, a single father of two, and exhausted in ways that sleep could never fix. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving him a quiet house full of memories and 2 small children who needed him more than he ever thought possible. Every morning began before sunrise. Every night ended after midnight, and the space in between was spent trying to be enough at work and at home without falling apart in either place. He worked as a project coordinator at a fast-growing logistics company in Ohio, a job he could not afford to lose. The pay was decent. The insurance covered his kids, and stability mattered more than pride. The problem was his boss, Victoria Reynolds. She was brilliant, demanding, relentless, and seemingly impossible to please. Deadlines were never soon enough. Mistakes, even small ones, were remembered. Praise was rare, and tension followed her like a shadow. To Daniel, she felt like a constant storm. Emails arrived late at night. Meetings were rescheduled without warning. Expectations shifted with no explanation. He did his best to keep up, but exhaustion slowed him down, and grief still lived quietly in his chest. The more he tried, the more it seemed to fall short. Coworkers whispered that Victoria was heartless, that she crushed people without noticing. Daniel believed it, because from where he stood, she never looked up long enough to see him. At home, life was softer but heavier. His daughter Emma was 7, sensitive and observant, noticing every crack in his smile. His son Caleb was 4, energetic and clingy, afraid his father might disappear like his mother had. Daniel learned to cook, clean, comfort nightmares, and show up to school events with tired eyes and borrowed strength. He smiled through it all because someone had to. Weeks passed like this until the pressure reached a breaking point. A major project landed on Daniel's shoulders with an impossible timeline. He worked through lunches, skipped breaks, and brought his laptop home every night after the kids fell asleep. Still, something went wrong. A delay outside his control caused a ripple effect, and by the time Victoria noticed, the damage was done. The reprimand was sharp, public, and final in tone. Daniel stood there absorbing it, feeling smaller with each sentence, knowing that arguing would only make things worse. That night, he sat alone in his car after work, hands gripping the steering wheel, breathing to the weight of failure and fear. For the first time since his wife's funeral, he cried openly, not because he was weak, but because he was so tired of being strong. The next morning, he almost did not go in, but children need food, and fear is a powerful motivator. He showed up quieter than usual, moving through the office like a ghost. Victoria noticed. She always noticed changes in performance, but rarely changes in people. Something about Daniel's absence from meetings and his withdrawn focus caught her attention, though she said nothing. What Daniel did not know was that Victoria Reynolds carried her own invisible weight. Raised in a family where affection was replaced by achievement, she had learned early that success was safety. She had climbed every rung alone, trusting systems more than people, control more than connection. The company was her armor. Work was where she felt powerful enough not to feel anything else. That afternoon, everything shifted in a moment that neither of them could have planned. Victoria passed by the break room and saw Daniel sitting alone, staring at a photo on his phone, shoulders slumped in quiet defeat. It was not his work that stopped her. It was his face. The grief there was unmistakable. It was not frustration or laziness or defiance. It was loss. Later that day, a child care emergency forced Daniel to leave early. His voice shook when he asked. Instead of refusing, Victoria paused. She agreed. It surprised both of them. Over the following weeks, small changes followed. Emails came earlier. Deadlines were clarified. Expectations became steadier. Daniel noticed, but did not trust it. He had learned not to expect kindness where it had never lived before. Still, his work improved. With a little breathing room, his focus sharpened. Confidence returned slowly, like light through fog. One evening, the company hosted a charity event. Attendance was encouraged, but Daniel almost declined, knowing it meant arranging childcare and staying out late. At the last minute, he went. The kids were safe, and he needed to remind himself that he was still part of the world. Victoria was there, polished and composed as always, but something about her was different. She looked tired, too. During the event, she watched Daniel interact with others, his warmth, his patience, the way he listened. She learned about his children, his loss, his quiet perseverance not from him, but from someone else who admired him deeply. At the end of the night, as people filtered out and the noise softened, something unexpected happened. In a moment that bypassed thought and went straight to instinct, Victoria stepped closer to Daniel and kissed him. It was brief, unplanned, and filled with emotion neither of them had acknowledged before. The world seemed to stop. For Victoria, it was the first time she had acted from feeling instead of fear. For Daniel, it was confusing, overwhelming, and deeply human. It did not erase the past, but it cracked it open. What followed was not a fairy tale, but something more real. Apologies were made. Boundaries were redrawn. Conversations replaced assumptions. Victoria began to lead differently, with awareness instead of control. Daniel learned that strength did not mean silence, and that asking for understanding was not the same as weakness. Months later, Daniel stood in his kitchen watching his children laugh, feeling something he had not felt in years. Hope. Not because everything was perfect, but because it was honest. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of the quiet battles people fight every day, or showed you the power of unexpected compassion, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel. And before we end, we have one special request. Comment below and tell us this. Have you ever misunderstood someone, only to discover their pain changed the way you saw them forever? Because sometimes, everything changes not when someone pushes harder, but when they finally see the heart standing in front of them.